Good day, everybody. This is the Ecclesiarch here, back with some more Horus Heresy Legions, and today we're doing some fan-made content again. I haven't done any fan-made card reviews on this channel, unlike my previous one, and today we're going to be looking at a warlord for each of the loyalist factions, and all of them are going to be by Shadowlan, who actually was the author of some of the other cards that I had presented on the previous channel, and the last time that I presented his cards, it had a very positive feedback from you guys. You found it very interesting, and I'm excited to show you what he has in store for you today. So without further ado, let's start, and let's just follow the order that we have right here, and that means we're going to start from the Iron Hands, and the Iron Hands warlord is going to be the last of the Morlocks, Vermanus Cybus, I believe, right? So his ability, as you can see, first of all, he's got 35 HP and low health. That's low initiative, sorry, that's kind of normal for an Iron Hands warlord to have low initiative. And as his ability, he has a passive which says your tactics deal an additional 1 damage. And his active is deal 1 damage to another target. If it dies, gain a shield. So basically, you need to, before we start discussing, you need to understand that the augmentics are also going to be considered as tactics, right? So this is a tactic. That means whenever you play an augmentic on your unit, instead of dealing 1 damage, you're going to deal 2 damage to it. And that automatically kind of dissuades you from playing an augmentics unit-focused build that mostly the Iron Hands go for. Instead, you would probably want to build this guy with tactics. So in terms of the Iron Hands themselves, they have some interesting tactics, like you got Iron Salvo, that's now going to be 4 damage. There's of course going to be Weather the Storm, which is going to be like 2 to 3 damage to all units. I guess that's how it would change. That would be like a nice AoE. Ruthless Cannonade would deal 4 damage to 3 random enemies. Now, there's not a lot more damage tactics that the Iron Hands have, but if you go into the neutral side, you can get a lot of very interesting stuff, especially like with sorry, especially with Chaos. Basically, probably Void Engagement would deal 3 damage as well. I believe it would work on Void Engagement, so it would be a 3 damage one. On top of that, like, you can have Informant Network for 2 damage, and interestingly enough, maybe Orbital Siege for 4 damage for each of the tactics. Well, that's not a big deal considering this already deals a lot of damage, but at the same time, you could have Burning of Bot, which would be 2-4. You could have like something like Warp Assault, you could have Planetary Purge, and you can even have Volcanic Instability, right? So the way probably you would see this guy being played would be like a bit like Gabriel Santar, where it's gonna be like a solo warlord that is just bursting everything down that you play, shielding himself, and when he shields himself, he could play stuff like Volcanic Instability. So this would be a very interesting change. This would be the new type of Gym Boss warlord that you would see for Iron Hands, and mostly probably you don't want to play like most unit cards on this warlord. Maybe there are some that you would still play, but for the most part you would be focused on tactics and just bursting enemies down, and it would be quite possible, honestly, considering just how much of a damage increase that would be, especially for the AoE. Overall, I think a very, very interesting warlord, and if I were to like theoretically build a deck on him, I would just fill it up with tactics like Void Engagements, Ruthless Cannonades, Weather the Storm as well, like Iron Salvo. We'd get Planetary Purge there as well. So all the cards pretty much that I showed you a couple of minutes ago, I would put there. And putting like Informant Network would also be great, because on top of the anti-stealth, it would also deal 2 damage to most of the units that the enemy plays. Not most, but all of the units. Brain freeze. Actually, it would be interesting if we make a theoretical deck on that. So let's actually take a look how that would look. Let's take Gabriel Santar and let's imagine that it is this warlord. So what would we include? What would we include there? So let me think. First of all, we would do double Iron Salvo. We would go for Weather the Storm, probably double. That's what I would do. Ruthless Cannonade as well, for sure. Getting 2 Void engagements in there and the command bridge, like 100%. That would be like, that would be for sure. Double Informant Network, because now that it deals 2 damage, that would be like pretty crazy. Maybe get a single copy of Orbital Siege for panic removal, I guess. You would get double burning of bot, that's for sure. Warp Assault would be pretty good, of course. With Call of the Cowardice, you could have like 3 damage to the board, plus 5 damage to the stealth. So maybe you could even put 1 of these there, and 1 less Informant Network, double Planetary Purge. And if you think about it, Rain of Fire would be deal 2 damage to all enemies twice, right? You'd get 2 of these. Volcanic Instability. And rested, you would probably get Tishaila as a single unit, because you can just, you know, use that to just quickly remove something. And probably you would want to have a lot of card draw, right? So some things that we could probably get are Arvus Lighter, maybe Ravage City, just to burn. And what else? What else? Now I'm thinking. And you know, last 2 places you could pretty much fill up. So this is probably something. This is probably what that the deck by that warlord would look like. So it would probably be something like this, now that I think about it. And to be honest, it would be pretty crazy. It would be pretty not fun to play against, but certainly very fun to play, that's for sure. So a pretty interesting warlord overall. For Salamanders, we have Zayafa's Jur, the Disciple of Flames. And he is the standard package with medium initiative of 35 HP and survivor 5. But his 0 ability is replace the ability with one of the target friendly unit abilities, and basically can act once again when he does that. And when he uses the ability, then it kind of reverts back. Now the real question is, does it also revert back when you cast the ability? If so, that could be pretty fun. You could just dump all 10 energy into that if you have a unit on the board. But yeah, I believe it won't work, because this, you can act again once you use this ability. Once it gets once the other unit ability gets used, in that case it will change. And it has to be an active ability, right? So you could get, for example, deal 1 damage to 2 damage to all enemies, and it costs 0, so you could just play a unit and steal that ability. Like, for example, you could play Haktaro Squad and just take that ability right off the bat. That would be pretty good, because next turn you would have like a very good AoE to do with that. You could also play Chosen Ruthan, because you would play it and then you could get an artifact. That would also be pretty good. What else has an active ability? Let's see, what else does have an active ability? Well, these things don't, but I think what else has an active ability is a batch of neutral cards, right? So, for example, let's take a look at the Imperial Army. You could get a Kaizu Lane there, and Kaizu Lane could definitely use an ability. We could like drop this, steal the ability, then use Kaizu Lane's ability, and next turn you could do it again. So technically speaking, you could be casting like 2 Kaizu Lanes a turn. That would be pretty damn good. You could also get Malkiel's ability without a problem. And think about it, another very cool thing you could do is you could play something like Forge Master. Wait a moment. Yeah, you could play something like Forge Master, and you would have this as a warlord ability. That could be like pretty cool as well. So there's like a ton of very interesting things you could do. Maybe even like play something like Ashurax. Oh my god, think about it. So you could play like an Ashurax and deal 6 damage to all enemies. That, even though it seems to be very slow, like imagine you drop in Ashurax, you know that your opponent just has to deal with it, and the next turn the 6 damage AoE still comes. That would be pretty crazy. Let me actually check out the Salamander's units as well. I forgot a couple. For example, this one to deal 3 damage with Ordnance 2. What more? So yeah, we got Veteran Mostaf, which has the ability to trigger the sacrifice of friendly units. That is also really, really good. Forgive my mistakes, people. I haven't played Salamanders, I think, even once outside the event, so was kind of dry with knowing that. So also we have the Pyroclast with 4 damage. You could also play that. There's a lot of very interesting stuff that you could really get, honestly. Like, there's also Warden Rektar. This is also pretty good. Yeah, this is a very interesting warlord because I can see you pulling a lot of stupid stuff with this. By stupid, I mean crazy good. I think what I would do with that warlord is I would definitely grab a Kaizu Lane and a Forge Master and an Ashurax as well. That would be really interesting. I cannot really construct a deck because the cards that I'm really lacking are Salamanders and Ravengard decks, but I'll try to construct a theoretical deck for everything else. As for Ravengard, we basically have Alvarex Mon, the Master of the Descent, well, high initiative, just like usually you would expect from Ravengard. And here's a very cool ability. You got 1 energy, your units lose stealth, and they gain drop pod. Now, you might think, why the hell do I want them to lose stealth? Well, you actually do. You actually do, because what that can do is that can actually trigger their ambushes instantly. For example, you got the Kariasu squad. Imagine you drop this, and when you drop this, you can just use the ability on it, and it will instantly deal 2 damage to a target and put this guy in a drop pod. So playing a 1 energy Kariasu squad is suddenly pretty good because it brings you some good value. It would be very good to play it with Champion Vorkil, because you drop a 3/3 and you just give it a drop pod, and on top of that it instantly deals 3 damage to a target. And don't forget, guys, you can also reapply stealth to some units, so that could also be pretty good. With the Varevar squad, you could also get card draw, which is really good. And whatever else has ambush, like you got Sergeant Reich that has ambush. Well, this ambush is like giving stealth to all enemies, not stealth, sorry, sentenced. So there are some cards where you maybe don't want to do that. Maybe you just prefer to keep this hidden. For example, with the Void Dark Furies, it's the same because sneak attack this turn doesn't really help. So you probably don't want to use that ability on it. But for example, Vigilator Edge is going to be really good because like you could drop it for 6 energy, target it with 1 energy, it instantly destroys a troop and goes into drop pod. So that could be like super strong. And if you are at higher energy, what you really could do with this is like reapply stealth. That would be pretty crazy, honestly. With more Dayton Shades, it's just the first strike, so not something you really want to be doing. With Shadow Lords, yeah, this is also really good. So you could actually play a Shadow Lord on this, I can imagine, because you can instantly get the value from it, which is pretty good, which already like gives you a better next turn, right? Even if this guy gets removed, you still already triggered your ambush. So it would be more like a standard Ravengard deck. However, you would be focused on cleverly using your ambushes, so you would be less focused on sitting in stealth, but rather giving your troops drop pod. That could be a very, very interesting deck and a very hard thing to deal with on top. Now let's move to the Space Wolves. With the Space Wolves, we have Jaln Stormbringer, I believe that's how you say it, the Rune Priest with medium initiative, and heal 1 whenever you play a tactic, and his active ability is interesting. Gain a shield and give overload to all enemies until your next turn. This is a pretty nuts, I gotta give you that. Because this could, technically speaking, buy you a lot of turns. This is once again a warlord that would play on tactics, right? Sorry, I still got a little cold. So basically what you would look for with this guy, let's actually create a theoretical deck on that. Let's imagine that let's have Russ in here. So probably what you really want to do with it is you would want to have Ire of Fenris, Emperor's Executioners, Wolfclaw, maybe, why not? Nah, I don't think so. I think Excoriation Campaign would be better there. You would definitely get Punitive Strike. As units, you probably will want to get some of your main things like Jurgen or, you know, Halfdan, together with Gunnarsson and Varangi veterans. So there are some things that you definitely have. You want to have. Actually, you could even dodge Yortan Stalkers, but if you don't, you could certainly do what? You could certainly get Yortan Stalkers with its combo. So there are some basic things that you always want to have with Space Wolves, right? However, on top of that, you would get some tactics that are pretty good. So since Fenrisian Wolves is also a tactic, that's also pretty good. You got Dionysian Spear in it. And you could play a few more tactics, like playing low-cost tactics could be really good. So you would probably want to go with Void Engagements. Let's get a Command Bridge. You would probably want to go with one-cost tactics a lot, because imagine, like, towards the late game, you could spam these tactics. Even Drilling Sight would be really good. Like, imagine just spamming these tactics towards the late game. So much healing. Like, that would heal you like a crazy. And since that would grant you so much time, I think it would be even more interesting to play something that's uber late game, actually. Like, I could imagine Corpse One? No. But there are things that you could play. Maybe even you could go for Orbital Bombardment or something. You know why? Because this guy could definitely play until the late game. So you could play the standard Space Wolf win conditions, but you could add another win condition on top. Like maybe Orbital Bombardment on top, just for that late game variety, because you can, with that healing, you could definitely get to late game. Or you could actually play, wait a minute, you could play Emperor's Wrath as well. You could go for an Emperor's Wrath build, because as you know, like, Space Wolves have a lot of low cost units, in which case, if you would play Emperor's Wrath, you would get like some very interesting stuff. You would get low cost Astartes, and just this would blow up in the late game. And if you combo this like with Drilling Sight and your ability, yeah, your opponent might be in trouble because of that overload that they get. Yeah, that would be pretty nuts. I like it. Now then, the next guy we got here is actually pretty interesting. It's the Custodian, and the Custodian is Ra Endymion, the final Tribune, and the Tribune has a very, very interesting thing to offer. Basically, it's whenever you play a Custodes, infantry, or vehicle, gain Bloodthirst, Frontline, or Shield, respectively. This is very interesting. So if you're playing Custodes, you're getting Bloodlust. If you're playing infantry, you're getting Frontline. Or if you're gaining vehicles, you're gaining Shield if you're playing vehicles, right? Now, Bloodthirst is okay, but I'm thinking, why would I, not why would I mean, it could still be pretty good, but then again, if we already have the Lightning Blow, I would probably not want to focus on that. However, it could be pretty good to give me some extra pressure. The thing that I'm actually interested in is the front line from the infantry. You know what I would do with this guy? Let me show you what I would do with this guy. Let's imagine that Nassau is Endymion for a second. So what we would do is probably we would play either a Solar Auxilia or a Traitor Auxilia deck, right? So you would probably get Secutari Axiarchs. You definitely want to get this because that's a very good infantry unit. But you need some infantry units that gain, that become better as time passes, right? So yeah, you want to get like some Solar Auxilia. You could get Auxiliary Primus, for example. You would get Medicae or the lists, whatever. Lord Malkiel. You might not want to have forward section actually, because it gets a front line itself. You could go for Ensign Tudon. Katsuhiro could be okay. Last Rifle section. Nayora Sukasen would be like an absolute beast. And you know what you could do? So, you could play a Lord Castellan. And if you play a Lord Castellan, you can permanently have a front line on your Warlord, right? So, think about that. Whenever you play, it says play, right? So, I could use Lord Castellan, and whenever I play the ability, it puts the troop into play, and I still get a front line, right? Or I don't. I forgot to ask Shadalan about this interaction, but if it does, it's crazy. If it does not, I might reconsider having Castellan, but definitely Vexillarius would be a thing, maybe even a Veletaris, These guys could work pretty well because this resolution to reduce the cost is really good. You would definitely get Marcus Valerius, and towards the late game, you probably want to get... You probably also want to get a tank or something like that. You could get strategic reserves for card draw. You'd probably get like Ignis Vincit as well, or a Stormhammer for late game, something like this. And from the Custodians themselves, you still want to get a couple of units, because Custodians have crazy good units, man. Preternatural Skill would be really good, crazy good cards. You could get Coburnus. In any case, Paragon Spear could also still be really good. Or actually, you could not get Paragon Spear because you already have Bloodlust and it's kind of wasteful. You could get the Trianar Jet Pikes and maybe drop in a double Hunting Eagle. Like, something like this could definitely be interesting. Or you could play for you could play for Traitor Auxilia. And you know why you would play for Traitor Auxilia? If you played for Traitor Auxilia, what you could do here is you could set up a very big board and then play with Grimwald as a finisher. So out of all the things that I saw here, I think the infantry version seems like the best for me, because it's very it's actually really strong. It seems like something that would be really strong. Others as well, though. Don't think that the others would be like paled. I don't think so. I think the others would also be useful. Like, if you play a vehicle deck, you could go for a vehicle mission as well, and you could get a lot of shields and which will help you trade. You could get the Machine Spirit, or you could just play Custodians with hyper aggressive gameplay. Like, imagine you would be a Karn basically, so you would be Karn but Custodians, so you could just keep bashing the opponent and just finish them off later with Coburnus. Yeah, that could be pretty sick actually, with Coburnus and double Orders from Terra. Yeah, this seems like a warlord that I would probably try out first. Next we got the Ultramarines, Orfeo Cassander. So his abilities has +1/0 for each enemy troop. And his ability is 2 energy, put in play a wounded zealot in play for your opponent, heal 1, can act once more. So you could put 5 zealots for your opponent. If you had another unit, that would be 6. So you could have 8 attack on Orfeo in that case. Or instead of doing this, what you could do... Okay. You know what I would do with this? I'm not gonna build a whole deck, but basically let me tell you what I would do with this. So you would definitely go for Orders from Terra. Like... Sorry. You would definitely go for Orders from Terra. Where the heck is that? Wait. Neutral. Yeah. Orders from Terra, 100%. Displace civilians as well. And Darkening Skies. You could certainly do that. Like, this would be pretty sick, because imagine, like, every time you play these, you get a +2 to your attack. So with Darkening Skies, you already have +3. You could play such a powerful aggro with that. And if you would go to the Ultramarines, basically, what you could do is you could play a super aggro one. You could play with like Retribution Strikes, Cruisers, Macrack's Honor, a lot of tactics. You could just play this guy for aggro, honestly. And then towards the late game, you just fill up the enemy board and just take out the enemy with the Orders from Terra. Like, so let's say if the enemy has a full board, you have a +6 to your attack, and that's 8 damage, so he can deal 24 damage with double Orders. Ouch. That could be pretty sick. That could be pretty sick. I definitely love to try this guy out as well. Now, for the Blood Angels, we got a pretty cool thing. Barbiel, the commander of the Crimson Paladins. So he's got Survivor 5, so he's chunky as hell. And he can destroy a target friendly troop and put a copy on it of it in the same position. Now, I don't know what you boys are thinking, but I'm thinking Sons of Baal, first of all. Because you could, first off, easily complete the mission. Maybe not that easily, like Sanguinius can also do it. But don't forget, Sanguinius starts with 1 less card. That's the first thing. This guy would not start with less cards, and it would be, like, super good. On top of that, you could do a pretty crazy combo with it. So imagine you play, let's say, Moritat Tyborel, right? And you do a flank on this boy. He takes one unit out, then bashes into the other, and if he survives, you can destroy it and resummon it. That could be pretty strong. Or you play Sanguinary Guard and destroy it and resummon it. So everything that has flank or fast pretty much gets to act twice. That would be really, really strong, because late game for 9 energy, you basically get double Sanguinary Guard. So the deck would not be like super not standard, let's say like that, but you could certainly abuse that mechanic. Oh, at the same time, think about it. Think about it. You know what you could also do? You could also go for a cultist play. That's actually pretty cool. Wait a minute. Yeah, think about it for a second. You could go for a cultist deck. And you could basically play some stuff like Cultist Acolyte. Not Cultist Acolyte, let's say Cultist Sorcerer for 5 energy. Think about that. You play it, you use the ability, it gets resummoned, and it also triggers Sacrifice. So you could also focus your deck on the Sacrifice mechanic. So there's a lot of very interesting stuff what you could do with this. Either you could play Sons of Baal, or you could play a Cultist deck, which really, really sounds pretty cool to me. Now, the one that I'm really excited to actually craft a deck on is Hasik Noyan Khan, which is the White Scars Warlord that has the ability to give Marks of Chaos to your Astartes, and if you don't have any Marks of Chaos, you can, not Marks of Chaos, Astartes, you can get a Karavakir squad or whatever this is in your hand for 1 energy. So basically you would play for Astartes or for Astartes. So this would be an Astartes build, right? So let's take Jiang Sai for example, and let's imagine that he's the new warlord. What would we actually play here? Of course, you would want to have 1 copy of Kandali Scouts. That's like very basic. You know what you could do? You could play stuff like Jahol Squad, for example. You could play. You don't really need to add Karavakir squads to your deck. What you could do is you could get a couple of very nice Astartes, like Captain Hakim could certainly be pretty good because he could go into stealth, and you could be giving him Mark of Chaos. Jakol Squad could be interesting because it has the ability to return stuff to your hand. Or give +1 to your Warlord, right? This could be pretty flexible as well. What does this do? Nah, that's not good. Gabesh Veterans could be nice because, as you know, like returning stuff to your hand and all that jazz. You could go for the Ujung Squad as well because of these that AoE. If you wish, you could go for Agutai Head Takers. Oh my god, that's pretty good. Imagine, like, if you get the streak, these guys have first strike and you could buff it with Marks of Chaos further. This could also be pretty good, the Anagal Veteran Squads, or Stormseer Ulegai, more for Jagatai, I guess. You definitely go for Jubal Khan and Solomon Khan and Silmek Hawkeye. These are like some things that you would definitely get. White Scars really don't have that many Astartes to benefit from this, though it would be nice to add a couple of Astartes to the game as well. But since you're doing that, you could do Silverblade Speeder, because I believe this has like a synergy here. You could get your Kumblai bikes for, you know, getting stuff, Swift Strikes, and you would after that you would just get card draw, right? Stuff to trigger your streak. You would be focused more on some Astartes here. And then what? Oh, you know what you could also do? You could get Blessing of the Four, because if you would get some infantry and stuff on top of that, you could play this and then play the ability, and you would get like tons of greater demons. Yeah, I think that sounds pretty doable. I like it. I think that's an idea right there. Okay, now for the Dark Angels. For the Dark Angels, we got what? We got Vastile, Commander of the Firewing. Medium initiative, 2 energy, Trigger the quest reward of a target friendly troop. Oh my god. Okay, alright. Let me just look at what I would do there. So you can trigger a quest reward. So if you can trigger a quest reward, you will go for Forbidden Secret, right? So you could go for the quests. It doesn't show. But one of the quests, I believe, is to complete a quest on your unit, right? You would always choose that. You would go for Forbidden Secret like 100%, because that would be... Actually, not 100%. Forbidden Secret is still a shitty card, but you could definitely try that, and you could go for some things that have good quest rewards. For example, Operator Dicker could be nice, and a single copy of Zarian Squad could be good, because you can replay it like infinitely, pretty much. Idaravan Morse, I am not sure if you want to play Idaravan Morse here. Let's first think about what we have. What does this do? Random troop in your hand. You could go for Proctor Inias, but something you would definitely want to get there is probably the Zakaris Interemptors, the Dreadwing Proctor, you know, the standard stuff. Astrowell would still have to be there, Night Praetor Ramiel would be there. What does Brother Titus do? That's useless. You could get the Namad Terminators. Okay, Onyx Saber is definitely there. I think one thing you would do is certainly play the Knight Champions, because look at this. It would lower the cost of all troops in your hand. That's pretty good. Maybe get a copy of Venerable Oramas, because that quest is also pretty good. Of course, you will get double Hexagrammaton, get a Deathwing Companion. And, you know, the thing is, you don't really want to get... if you're playing Hexagrammaton, usually you don't want to include a lot of Deathwing in your hand, so that's not that good. But get an Unbroken Vow. Pelagor Mariner, I'm not sure. Maybe get one Prisoner Custody because we're assholes. That also works. What else has quests? But actually, you don't really need anything else. I think this is like... good as it is. You could even go for Venerable Corolanius if you want. You would definitely need like double Drilling Sight on this deck, as well as double Arvus Lighter. So probably you would go for something similar to this. I may be wrong. I'm not the biggest Dark Angel enthusiast, but I could see something like this working, because you would certainly get Forbidden Secret. Even if you don't get Forbidden Secret, you would have a crazy strong combo with Knight Champion, so you would be able to do something that Allosauri cannot do. That is like actually make the wish mission work. And no, don't tell me that Allosauri mission is good, guys. It works, but it's not good. Come on, in terms of being competitive, it's not. But Allosauri himself is very, very strong. Now, forget about that for a second, because we got the Imperial Fist. We have Anamandus Tyr, Captain of the 14th. Relentless, your troops lose Bastion and gain that much attack. Oh my god. Oh my god. And 1 energy, gain Bastion 2. Holy hell. This is a tough one. Yeah, you will definitely need what? You won't be playing gauntlets and things like that, apparently, I think. What you will be playing is, you could play Resolve of Stone. Look at this, Bastion 6. You could play this on a troop, and it will gain 6 attack the next turn. That could be pretty good. What else? Stalwart Defender double. Maybe get... oh, this is a hard one. Actually, I'm having a tough time thinking of a deck right now. But this could be really good. You would probably play like a standard Imperial Fist deck. But stuff like Resolve of Stone could be really good here. Like, imagine. That would be like sick. Give this to your unit, and then you, by Relentless, you get 6 damage. Unless your opponent is able to remove it, of course. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Okay, how about like drop a lot of front lines and do this on a unit that doesn't have front... oh no, it gives front line. Ooh, I don't know. This seems like crazy strong though. Like, if you play Phalanx Warders and you have like double Stalwart Defenders on, these guys are gonna get 4 attack each turn. Ooh, I can already see this being like crazy. I don't think it will be much different from a standard Imperial Fist deck in terms of building. You would probably not get like Stone Gauntlet or But actually, why not? He can also give himself Bastion. Wow. Okay, so this will be like very similar to a standard deck, though I would see like, I also see like Resolve of Stone getting in there. Overall, a pretty scary warlord. Alright, let's move to the Sisters of Silence. The Sisters of Silence are gonna have Aliris Perdita, Mistress of the Kennels, and you already get what that is, right? Battle Honor, give your troops +1/0. That's pretty good. And she can play Cyber Jackals. Now, you already know where this is going, right, guys? You want to build a spam jet deck or a Jackal deck. So, a couple of things that I would do on this that I can already think of. Of course, you would get Jackals, and you would get all the cards associated with the Jackals. As you know, like Pursuer Beasts would also buff your Cyber Jackals like crazy, but on top of that, you could also use the Fanatic Discipline. If you use the Fanatical Discipline, like if you're able to swarm the board like that, this could be really good. I would even put in Arcology if this worked on non-Sisters of Silent troops too, but it doesn't. Certainly you would want to play this kind of combo. Maybe you would even drop a Frozen Heart there, because Frozen Heart pretty much allows you to have a unit on the board at all times, which is really good, unless it gets jammed. Yeah. So you would play more Jackal focused and Frozen Heart, so you would probably ditch some other stuff that you have for high energy, but what do you really have for high energy? Yeah, I mean, probably you would play maybe for Asteroid Belt as well. This is pretty interesting. How would I build this warlord? How would I build this warlord? Nothing really comes to mind yet, but I definitely think that this could be pretty good. This could be pretty good. This could be a breath of fresh air, for sure. Please, guys, comment on how you would build this warlord right here. What's her name? Aliris Perdita. How would you build her? I really want to know your opinion on this. And last but not least, we got Janus, first of the 12. By the way, there's going to be traitor cards, and there's going to be Titan and Knight cards coming as well. So be on the lookout for that. But finally for today, we have Janus, first of the 12, which is really, really strong. When this unit attacks, give the target can't attack until your next turn. Angron is crying right now. And Siege, choose a seal and add it to your hand. Ooh. You know... This is very interesting. Depending on the matchup... Okay, what you really would want to do here is you would want to play the mission, right? Or would you really? Actually, you would. So, imagine this. You play the Chosen of Terra. First you load your siege, then you play Chosen of Terra and use your siege, and you have a seal already in your hand. That is pretty sick. Plus, if you play against aggro, you can control this. On top of that, you would need Malkador's Sigil 100%. That shield would go a long way. You could also actually get Altar Nohai. I'm not joking. You could get this card. Because you drop this, you attack the enemy troop, it can't attack anymore, and Nohai then starts healing you up. That could actually work. You what, mate? That could actually work. Seems like an interesting combo. Yeah, this is pretty interesting as well. That's probably... You would go for some healing, maybe, some survival, and you would go for the mission as your win condition. But wait, no. I'm being stupid right now. You could go for the mission, but you don't create that. Well, you would have to get Kirill Sanderman then as well. And if you don't get, let's say, Kirill Sanderman, you do have like Aristide Ekel, you got... No, you still have some cool stuff like Bror Tripping Gear and classified assignments, so you could still draw some tactics from the deck. Actually, I think the mission might be a waste now that I think about it. I think I wouldn't play mission. I would just try to out-trade the opponent this way. Maybe play actually very aggressive, like drop Kel and stuff like that. Not allow the opponent to take it out until I cast Sigilized Chosen by giving it can't attack. Yeah, this sounds pretty interesting as well. Jesus, these warlords are pretty damn cool, I'm not gonna lie. They're really, really, really interesting. Anyway, gentlemen, as I said, Shadowland is gonna be sending some more of these, and I'm gonna be uploading it soon. I wasn't able to think of a cool deck for all of them, but some of them I think I kinda got down. So please, in the comments, write down which of these warlords would you be most excited for, and how would you build them. Thank you for watching, and Ecclesiarch out.